I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the special council workshop meeting, Tuesday, July 26, 2022. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay, item 1 on the agenda is our budget workshop. I will yield the floor to Mr. Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I've got some slides that I'm going to run through first. These are your first couple pages in your council packet, just in a slightly different format, but still same information. So I'll start with just a high-level overview of the funds and the departments, and once I get through that, we'll start with general fund, and we'll go department by department. Be glad to answer any questions, have any discussions y'all want to have on each department. And then we'll go into Beach and Swim Center, followed by TCUD, Stormwater, Events, Tourism, Hospitality Tax. So we'll work through those funds in chronological order. So first off, your general fund projected revenues are at $14,082,018. Projected expenditures for the general fund at $13,423,050, leaving you a surplus of revenues over expenses of $658,968. Your Beach and Swim Center projected revenues are $195,447. Your projected expenses at $178,511, leaving you with a positive balance of revenues over expenses at $16,936. In our utility department, TCUD, projected revenues at $6,360,965. Projected expenses at $5,951,543, leaving you with a net positive balance there of $409,422. On stormwater and events tourism, basically the money that comes in, money goes out. We don't operate with reserve funds on those two items. So with stormwater, projected revenues and expenses of $619,000, and on our events tourism budget, projected revenues and expenses of $196,500. Hospitality tax, projected revenues at $385,000, with projected expenses at $369,117, giving you a positive net balance of $15,883. As you can see, your total expected revenues across all funds is $21,838,930. Your projected expenditures across all funds at $20,737,721, giving you a positive net balance across all funds at $1,101,209. Breaking it down by departments, council, for the council budget, projected expenditures of $80,163. That's a 54% net positive change there, or $28,252. Your court budget projected expenditures at $300,837. That's a net change of $56,812, or 23% increase. Admin is at $850,998. That's a change from the current fiscal year of $48,839, or a 6% uptick. Development services at $476,435 in projected expenses. That's a change of $16,355, or a 4% increase. Public Works, and we'll explain this a little bit more in detail as we get to that department, but it's projected expenses at $926,760. That's actually a reduction from the current year of $80,498, or a reduction of 8%. Your police budget at $3,566,533. That's a $252,622 increase, or 8%. Your fire services budget at projected expenses at $2,561,500. That is an increase of $359,227, or a 16% increase. Your Parks and Rec budget, projected expenditures at $1,306,584. That's an increase of $500,882, or a 62% increase. And that change is tied to the Public Works change that I mentioned previously, and that'll become more clear as we get to the Public Works actual budget. And then in your non-departmental, projected expenditures of $3,353,240. That's a reduction of $602,761, or a 15% reduction across those funds. Council, you don't have the graph that I've got up on the screen now. Really just kind of shows you what percentage of the total, of the general fund total that those departments make. As is the case with pretty much any city that I'm aware of that has a full-service fire and police departments, they're going to make up almost 50% of your total budget in any given city. Your non-departmental at 25%, that's where your bond debt is located, which is what makes that such a large piece of the pie, if you will. Parks and Rec at 10%. Public Works at 7%, admin at 6%, development services at 3%, court at 2%, and council rounding it out at 1% of your total general fund budget. So as far as your departments, if you will, with the Beach Club, projected expenses of $178,511, as I said before. That is a increase of $15,063, or 9% change there. TCUD's projected expenses, again, at $5,951,543, a change of $529,761 from current fiscal year, or a 10% increase. Stormwater at $619,000, that is a $22,000 change there, and which equates to a 4% difference. Your events tourism at $196,500, that's a $25,000 increase, or a 15% change. And hospitality tax at $369,117, that is a $24,117 increase, or 7%. Total across those gives you about a $565,000, almost $566,000 change across those. Or a total of an 8%, average of an 8% increase. Just breaking out the funds here. Obviously, your general fund is your largest fund, TCUD being the next largest. Then you've got your stormwater, hospitality tax, events tourism, and then Beach Club, just to show those. Council, the other thing we broke down for you that you should see in your packet pages there is the personnel, O&M, and debt. So in general fund, your personnel costs make up approximately 59% of that total budget. Your operation and maintenance, your O&M, makes up about 28% of that total budget, with your debt making up 13% of the total budget. Beach and Swim Center, it's 7% on the personnel side. 93% of it goes into O&M. And the Beach Club is carrying no debt. TCUD is at 26% on personnel costs, 54% on O&M, and 20% on debt. Your biggest debt in TCUD is the acquisition bond that we took out to purchase TK Water Service, and the state revolving fund that we took out to repair the system that we purchased. That's where the majority of your debt is there. On stormwater, 57% of that is your personnel budget, 34% is O&M, and 10% on debt. And that debt is on equipment like the new leaf vac and front-end loaders. Your events 42% is on the personnel, and that covers our event manager salary plus the overtime salaries for public safety and public works, or maintenance folks. I should say Parks and Rec as well. Any of our maintenance folks that were working those community events, we're able to offset that with H-Tax, and we do that through the events budget. 58% is your O&M, and again, events tourism, obviously no debt there, so it's at 0%. Hospitality tax, you've got 0 on the personnel side, 94% on the O&M, and then 6% on your debt, and that is for the lights at Rundy Park when we replace those. And I believe on the next schedules, yep, y'all should have these as well. But this is just showing you what we've got as far as debt payments in each fund coming for the coming year, as well as for the current year. So you can see in general fund, a lot of bonds. Still got 2 capital leases remaining there. One will be brand new for the coming fiscal year. But your total debt service payments there is $1,756,090. Yes, sir.
Just can you clarify for me, the 2005 and the 2012, is that the golf course or is it the other?
Golf course is it Greens? No. What was 2012, Bob?
That's the City Hall.
City Hall.
City Hall 2000.
That's a City Hall purchase. Yep. All your the 2005 bonds, even though we still call it the 2005, they actually got refinanced in 2013. So we were able to combine some. We obviously have paid some off, but in other documents you may see that as a 2013 bond. But it is the golf course, Glennon Center, et cetera. Yes. Yep. And then you've got the fire station bond, the police bond, the Catawba Park bond, and then we've got a couple of capital lease payments down there
Back up
for
one.
equipment and vehicles.
Quick question. Back up one. All of the departmental budget items include the 8% we discussed.
That is
at the last
correct.
meeting, correct? That's what I
Yes,
thought.
sir. It sure does.
So, back up for a second, which?
Yes, sir.
The Glen Center and
2005 bond?
the 2005 bond?
Yes, sir. Yep, that's your golf, Glennon Center, et cetera, related to up here. On TCUD, you got total debt service payments in there of $1,172,113. There's the SRF bond or loan from the state. That's 2% money for some of it's 20 years, some of it's 30 years. Is the way they broke that out, but at 2%. So allowed us to keep things back in the pipes where they're supposed to be. Then you've got the water tower bond. That's being offset through impact fees. You got your booster pump where we installed the water booster pumps. The water meters lease, the capital lease payment, that was when we switched to all of the remote read meters instead of the visual read meters. And then when we upfitted a lot of the older lift stations with generators, that's your generator lease. And we also, we got a big chunk of that done, I believe, with some FEMA money too, so FEMA grant. So again, your TCUD debt payments, again, is $1,172,113. On stormwater, you can see that we've got some capital leases coming off, one that goes on for the coming year. So it's at a modest $58,952 there. And then H-Tax, there's the Rundy Park lights of $24,617. And Bob, we've got next year and the next, right? The final payments so that payment goes until 2025. I think it's an October payment, and that's why it hits the 2025. Yeah. So we could potentially pay that one off early to where it doesn't have that 2025 impact. So total across all funds on your debt service for both bonds and capital leases is $3,011,772. So with that, council, give me 1 second, and I'm going to switch over to. I know we paid off in 2030. Yeah.
As of 9/30/21, it was $4,005,000.
But it's less than that back if you have a principal of 50,000, so I do.
And Bob, that one's one where we do a principal-only payment, then we do a P&I
Yes, we do.
payment. So
Oh,
we do
interest,
two
yeah,
payments a
yeah.
year. One's principal only, and then the next one's principal and interest.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're to the general fund budget. Council, typically what we do is just start with revenues. What I do is just, I'll go through the totals, and as we finish revenues, see what questions you have on any, if there's any individual line items within any of the revenues. But if y'all are okay with that, then I'll proceed forward. So your total, what we refer to as tax revenues, is projected at $7,290,727. On your property taxes, what we do with that is the county gives us an abstract of what they're projecting that they're billing out, and we use 98.6% of that number is what we have used for a budget number. So giving ourselves a little cushion, anticipating 98.6% collection rate. I will tell you that if prior history holds true, usually that's coming in at 101, 102% of what we budgeted. So on the automobile tax, that one, the county gave us a number that was, what, about 50,000 less, Bob, than what we're collecting this year. Couldn't give us any rhyme or reason to that. We very much disagree with that number. It's the first time we've really disagreed with their numbers. But so with that one, we're just forecasting what we budgeted for this year. They think it's going to come in 50,000 less. We CO'd 120 homes up, since October 1. Yeah, I don't see how. I mean, I realize that vehicles depreciate, but I don't see how it depreciates like that. That number has always gone up from the county. So I don't know why.
We're going to exceed the budget this year.
Yeah, we'll exceed yeah. So again, just to be cautious, and just using the same budget figure that we used for this year. Any other question on the taxes, on the tax revenues? License, fines, and fees. This is where you've got your franchise fees, all your utilities, Duke, York Electric, Comporium pay into the franchise fees. York County Natural Gas is not, we're not allowed to charge them a franchise fee. The other ones do. And then you've got your court fines and fees, your building inspections, your business license revenue, and your impact fees are accounted for in here. That doesn't equate to all of the impact fees that we'll collect, but it equates for what we'll be paying out as far as expenses from those impact fees. So the remainder balance of the impact fees stay in their individual impact fee funds, if that makes sense. Does everybody follow that? So we only budget to transfer out of the impact fee funds what the debt it's paying for. The balance stays with their funds. So we don't pay expenses out of the police impact fee fund or the fire impact fee fund or the Parks and Rec. We transfer it back into general fund, and it offsets those bond costs that you'll see in non-departmental. Okay? So your total there is on license, fines, and fees is $4,651,344 is what we are forecasting for the coming fiscal year. Questions on license, fines, and fees?
So, just thinking about the development that's on the horizon as a whole, we've got impact fees.
Not for this coming year. We see that because we don't get the impact fees until they do their building permit. So they've got at least 6 to 8 months worth of infrastructure, grading, things like that. Now, we'll get some development fees, and those type things show up in those building inspection fees. Those one-time development fees go into that revenue line item.
Windhaven's already accounted for then, right?
Windhaven is, yes. So what we do when we're building these models out, Susan and her staff talk to the superintendents, the builders that we have. How many homes are you forecasting for next year? So we've based this, TCUD, and stormwater off of 144 new home permits for the coming year. Just for a frame of reference, we're at 220?
217 right now.
217. And we budgeted this year on 120. So and 120 was the average that we had been plugging along at. Big one this year, We're not going all the way to 217, not knowing what's going to happen with the housing market. We feel pretty comfortable with what the builders are telling us at 144. Is there a chance we'll exceed that number? Yeah, weather and the economy will affect that. Yeah, the last couple of winters, they didn't have a wet winter, and they were able to just keep plugging along. So we shall see. But again, we try to do with all of our revenues, try to be very, very cautious on those. It's good to have surprises on the revenue side, good surprises,
That's right.
not the bad ones. The state shared revenue, that's the community fund from the state. And they're finally, for the first time since 2000, funding it at the levels that state law requires, which is fantastic news. So nice little uptick there of $106,000 additional to $300,731 is what we're forecasting. Actually, it's not even a forecast. That's the number they told us. Here's what you're going to get. So that one's pretty easy. You will see as you track the quarterly financials we send you, even the ones for this year, it will end up more because we get alcohol tax, right, that the state sends back to us, and we stick it into that revenue line item. We also, through some of the illegal Airbnbs that take customers before we catch them, we get accommodations tax from the state. Yeah, it's not much. You're talking a couple $100, but so we do stick those in there as well. So when I tell you that, yeah, this is what the state is telling us we're going to get, that's just from their community fund. That number will be exceeded based on your alcohol tax sales. We get a percentage of those that come back to us. Recreation. So we've got a new line item in there for tournament revenue, Catawba Park, $160,000. We are hoping to program a minimum of 40 weekends through the calendar year, and we're going to try to get started in October and try to go to right before Thanksgiving, and then start back up again probably late February, early March, and yeah, and keep running. So, but your total rec revenue is $774,010. That's a $309,500 uptick there. Yes, we are including the York County Recreation money.
For now.
I know the mayor and mayor pro tem, and I've shared some with the rest of council. That is fully funded through the 2023 fiscal year. 2024 still remains to be seen.
Right.
So now what we've done for this coming fiscal year is, because we're in such a great financial shape right now, instead of asking for our second allotment this year, because they split it into two payments, we're holding off till October to ask for that money. So there will be some, making sure we're in good shape through 2023. And I would say probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll find out what 2024 is going to be.
This includes Charlotte Independence.
Yes.
Is that the 52% jump, Charlotte?
Yeah, for the rec revenue.
Well, no, he's just talking about on the rec revenue. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And our registration right now is gangbusters.
Can you
It is
clarify
crazy.
that, Joey? On the rec revenue, the Charlotte Independence is in which line? The tournament revenue? or the
recreation
revenue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yep,
Tournament revenue is just tournaments.
that is correct.
Okay, thanks.
That is correct. And a nice little uptick on the concession revenue. It was such a small amount previous that we just didn't even budget, and we get $100, $200, from the little snack shack at Rundy, and that's about it. With having a full-service concession stand at Catawba Park and with all those revenues, honestly, this is a swag. This is a pure swag. We start putting the 2024 budgets together, we'll have a little bit better idea of what that concession money would be. So, and we'll know whether we've underscored the tournament revenues or overscored. We did talk to the staff at Field Day Park, because they've got a similar facility. What did y'all do in tournament revenue over the course of the year? And they were 140, 145, and they don't rent it out all the time. They don't do every weekend. So we feel like 160 is a safe number. In your other revenue, you've got, this is where you've got the fees that we charge for your, yes, sir, go ahead.
On that concession revenue, is that, do we have the concession revenue from the beach and swim.
That's in the beach, that's not in this one, that's in the beach and swim center budget. Yep. Yes, sir, that stays separate.
I was wanting to see a lot more than 5,000.
But this is where you've got your trash fees. Transfer from Beach Club, that's what Beach Club owes back to general fund for the landscaping. Their portion of the Yellowstone contract for the contract landscaping we do there. The cell tower rental, that's an automatic 4% increase each year. American Tower is wanting to renegotiate that deal. I'm working through that currently. Well, they're wanting us to lower the annual payment, but then do a profit share. Right now, they can't get other carriers on that pole because they're having to pay us so much. It was the deal they negotiated with Newland that got turned over to us when we bought this facility. They're wanting us to extend the term out, but lower the annual amount, and then do a profit share on anybody else, any other carriers they're able to put on there. So just trying to work through that. The reduction they want, I don't think is beneficial to us. I'm trying to make it less of a reduction, a little bit more on the percentage share, but they're talking about wanting to extend it out another 15 to 20 years. So, but we'll see where that goes. Obviously, once I think we've got a fair deal for the city, I'll bring it back to council for
It's not a
discussion.
tremendous amount of revenue. I would think a profit share might be more beneficial long-term, but
Apparently, they're paying
Trust
more
your
on this
judgment.
tower and the land lease than they are any other tower they've got. So,
thank you very much.
we do appreciate their contributions, absolutely. But any event, so this is to round out that non-departmental or that other revenue, I should say. It totals up to $1,065,206, giving you your total revenues of $14,082,018. Again, that's an 8% increase in projected revenues. Yeah, an 8% increase, or $1,008,638. Any other questions on revenues before we jump into the expense side?
What's the change to the resource officer reimbursement? Can you,
So it's by contract with the school district. They reimburse us 60% of their salaries and benefits for whoever the resource officer is. Our prior resource officer, been with us for quite a while, had a higher salary, has left us to go to another agency. So this represents 60% of the new resource officer salaries and benefits.
Got it.
That's the only reason it's a
Thank you.
reduction. Yep. And that's through contract with the school district. They've got the same agreement with the sheriff's department and with Fort Mill PD.
It's a small amount of money, but why would you predict less parking tickets with all the parking?
It's the way we're seeing it trend. I mean, we're turning people away so they don't have the opportunity to get a ticket. We're not letting them in. Instead of, hi, I got you. Here's your ticket. So that's basically it. Plus, as we get once we get to the Parks and Rec budget, there's one capital item, if you will, that we'll need to discuss that could reduce that even more potentially. So a little catch-22. Fix the problem, lose the revenue. Anything else on revenues? All right. Municipal council budget. It's got all the council's salaries, benefits. Obviously, there is no election for us, no local election. So the election in November won't cost us anything, even though they use our facilities. We only have to pay if we have an election as part of it. So you've got nothing there. Your travel and training, for any mask meetings, conferences, things like that council chooses to go to. The dues and subscriptions an uptick, and that's just because of the Chamber of Commerce. Last year, decided not to do it. Bill came in, apologies, he got paid. Yeah, so we're still a sponsor of the Chamber of Commerce. So went ahead and budgeted for it for the coming year. So that's what that is. You've got your mass dues for council, which is $150. And then the rest is our sponsorship level with Chamber of Commerce, which is on par with what Town of Fort Mill sponsors.
What's the big change in group insurance?
We have 3 council members that are participating in the group insurance. And that's what that is. So your total council expenses is $80,163. Any other questions there?
Flowers?
If you have a former council member that passes away, a longstanding member of the community, that type thing, depending on who they are, that kind of thing, we try to send flowers on behalf of council in the city to them.
As long as they're not sitting on your desk dying.
No, sir. No, sir. If they were on my desk, they would be dead. 100%. Municipal court, and Judge Dorado apologizes. She's got an illness that has kept her from being here tonight. But I can cover her, I'll cover that budget for you. Your total court expenses are $300,837. Your salaries include our two full-time staff members, which is Judge Dorado, as well as our administrative judge, who's also the clerk of court. It covers those salaries, plus the contract amounts for our solicitor and a magistrate with the county, who, anytime we've got bond hearings over at Moss Justice, he covers those for us, and helps fill in to get that coverage. So, that's who's making up that salary and wages, line item. But as far as your retirement and group insurance, workers' comp, actually, all of them are in that because they're all part of the retirement system, so we have to do the retirement system there. The group insurance is just our two full-time people. Any questions on court? On their expenses? Okay.
I thought we were getting the victims' assistance. Is that not handled by the county?
Oh, we still have to pay. Yeah, we have to pay into it, yep. That's required by law. So, and that's a great question, Mayor. So your last three expenditures there, the reimbursement of other governmental units, victim assistance, and public defender, years ago, we just used to have that in one line item as reimbursement to governmental units. Now that reimbursement to governmental units is basically 62%, give or take,
It's in 58 to 62.
of all ticket revenue that we get. So when people say, oh, cops are writing a lot of tickets to pad the budget, over 60% of it goes to Columbia. So, and it helps fund the Criminal Justice Academy and things like that. So, and then you've got the public defender. That's an agreement that we've got with the Public Defender's Office, us, Fort Mill, York, and Clover in that. Rock Hill used to be, but their caseload was so heavy, they just hired their own. So the rest of us, and we pay, and it's based on their tier one attorney in their office, and we split it based on the amount of, the percentage of total cases that we make up, that public defender is utilized during indigent defense cases and that kind of thing.
Question on group insurance.
Yes, sir.
How many folks are on the group insurance out
Two.
of municipal court?
Two.
Two?
Two full-time, yes, sir.
So the rate per person for municipal court is different for council. Is it supposed to be that?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something unusual there?
Dora, can you talk to the group insurance? He's comparing, but come on up. Come on up,
The,
so we can get you on the
the
microphone,
rate per
please.
person on municipal court looks dramatically
Well,
different.
one of the
than
things that's going to change
rate per
that for
council.
certain is, it depends on if it's employee only, employee spouse, or employee family. Those are all different rates. Dora, does council pay any portion of their insurance?
Yes.
They do, yep.
And in court, we have one that has total family coverage and the other one is single coverage.
Okay, got it.
So you're going to have differences there.
So the city's contribution to that's going to look different for a family than a single? Okay.
Correct.
All right, that makes
That is
sense.
correct.
Employee spouse or employee children.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on court? All right. Moving and grooving, as Bob likes to say. So for your admin budget, your total administration expenses is $850,998. Really not a whole lot of changes through there, with the exception of on the salary side, which we discussed with council previously during executive session. Everything else is pretty much, you don't have a whole lot of drastic changes there. In your admin, as far as your salaries and wages, you're looking at myself, a good chunk of Joey's. A lot of us are split out in small percentages. So bulk of mine and Bob and Dora and Dana and Janet, we're all heavy on admin, but then we've also got a percentage in TCUD and in stormwater, because we also have to manage and deal with those things as well. And there's small percentages in those others.
Is that why the percentage change isn't consistent with what we talked about in
Correct.
executive? Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And also with some of the reorganization that we did after this current budget was approved, we did some reorganizing. So you had some people that we shifted out of admin, some people got shifted into admin and that kind of thing. So your total nugget there ends up being the 4%, but it does have the things that we discussed previously.
Okay.
So how many people do we have in admin slots?
Give me 1 second.
9?
Is it 9? Yep.
9, but based on different percentages.
Yeah, and then you've got people in different percentages
Across other departments?
across other funds.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
So what we stopped doing was, okay, we're going to put this much in admin, this much in public works, and this much in Parks and Rec. Well, it's all general fund.
Well, you
So-
touched several funds. So
Right, so we put them
Your
across,
responsibility
the only
was-
funds that we didn't split anybody out into is events and beach club.
Got it.
Now, in Parks and Rec, that's where those beach club small percentages come from on that side of things.
Thank you.
And it's just trying to ballpark as close as we can, time allocation spent with those things. That's why the bulk of when you see, like me, Bob, Dana, Dora, and Janet, our IT manager, our percentages are the same across the funds, but it's a larger percentage in general fund, next largest is in TCUD, and then a small percentage in stormwater. Any other questions on admin?
General question.
Sure.
How much does the city spend a year on cell phones, and how many city employees have a city-owned cell phone?
All of our field employees out in the field have cell phones. They average, I think, because we've got them on a set plan where I think with taxes and everything, it's about what, $41?
I guess 40 and some change.
40 and change per. So all of your.
Per
all of your-
line? Per month?
Per line, per month, yep.
Okay.
So all of your police officers have them, all your department heads have them, and then your maintenance guys. And with our PD and maintenance staff, we get free phones for them. We just have to pay the line. Yeah, so, but that answer the question?
Kind of. I mean, I'm just curious. Well, the question was how much and how many?
I can get you that.
We get it tomorrow.
Yeah, I can have it to you in the morning.
I'm just
The
curious.
cell phone is appropriate to different departments. so
Mm-hmm.
it's not-
Yeah, we can get you,
And we've got some kind of deal where, like, our key people, they get broadband before anybody else does. correct?
that's correct. And the deal we were able to work out with Verizon, that's for every line we have. So if all of a sudden there's a mass casualty type thing where everybody's on the cell phones,
Your phone's gonna work.
we're,
nonstop.
we're getting priority on those bandwidths. Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. That's good.
Anything else on admin?
90 funds. Just doing the math.
All right, moving on to development services. Your total projected expenditures on development services is $476,435. Not a whole lot of changes there. I do want to note, and Tom had asked us this question last week, that comp plan update, that's not for the comp plan, but instead of creating a new one-time line item, this is for a small area plan that we're working on for the Windhaven area. And that process is well underway. It's a $35,000 total. 15 of it is in this fiscal year, and this will be the balance of it. So instead of creating a new line item for something that's only going to be happening this time, we just use a similar line item name and just put it under the comp plan one.
What's recommended in the comp plan.
Well, there you go. So that's what that is. I didn't want y'all to think, and it was a great question, Tom. Do we got to do the comp plan every year? No. We still got a few more years before we got to do that again, but that's what you're seeing there. In development services, your total headcount, including Susan as department head, is 5? Yes, 5. So you've got Susan, Shane, our stormwater manager. Only 20% of his salaries and wages are in here, 80% are in the stormwater budget. And then you've got our 3 inspectors, who also handle code enforcement as well, so, along with Shane.
What are the professional services?
Susan, come on up to the table.
That's our, a lot of
What? Sit down, get on the microphone. Go to the table. So everybody can hear you.
Sorry, I ought to know this. I do this enough. And I have to remind people, be recorded. But professional services, that's mostly engineering costs. We have to pay a portion for Joel Wood for plan review. So he is the city's contracted engineer. So that's where a lot of those services come from.
And we bill those developers for that and their development fees.
Could you,
We've been really good at kind of doing the best we can without having to have Joel come in and do things. So we're moving to doing a lot more things digitally, which saves us some money.
And we're doing well this year.
Yep.
could you help me understand the 50% increase on software maintenance?
What that is as again, we're trying to move digitally. So our current software program, Blueprints, which is for our permitting and inspections, we're trying to move a lot of that through the Blueprints iCloud so that we've got that storage capacity, and then we're trying to move all our developers and contractors into accessing everything through that web portal versus calling us and saying, did your inspection pass? Did my inspection pass? Well, if you go on the web, you'll see,
Yeah.
because it's
They'll also be able to
already
do their permits online.
Yeah.
And that should be happening pretty soon. It's been a long, arduous process, but we're getting close
Did we get the issue worked out as far as the
on the payment portal.
payment? Okay.
We should probably put a
That's the
line
part
item in there
we're
for
waiting on, but it is in
educating our
process
vendors
now.
on how to use the portal.
We've been waiting since January on the payment portal with,
SC.gov.
yeah, yeah.
So
So-
will we see a decrease in hardware because we're going to the cloud?
We made an investment this year in buying a lot of hardware. I think the only computer that's going to be swapped out is going to be my desktop.
Okay.
So everybody's
I don't know
going
if
to
we had
mobile. Everybody's going to laptop.
server maintenance was going down or anything like that?
No, it's just freeing up server capacity. But the computer replacement that Susan just talked about is in the IT expense line item at $2,500. Her computer is reaching end of useful life. So just replacing that before Susan's sitting there with a brick on her desk, so. Yep.
Which I can say it's been real frustrating this week. So
Any other questions on development services for Susan? All right, thank you, Susan. Moving into Public Works, Tim, if you want to make your way up, if you can. Your projected expenses in Public Works is $926,760. So I want to go ahead and call out a couple of the changes that we've made. So we reorganized our staffing between Public Works and Parks and Rec. And we did that during, it was after the current budget was approved. So that's why you're going to see some major shifts this year. We didn't change any of the salary allocations or anything like that just because we reorganized. We just went ahead and left it the way it was in the current budget, capturing it with this year. With doing that, we've also moved landscaping, your landscape stuff, out of Public Works because that's now being handled under the park maintenance. So you're going to see that in the park maintenance budget. So when you go down to things like memorial gardens and help me out here, fellas.
Landscape maintenance and contract lawn care.
Yep.
Those are all shifted to Parks and Recreation now.
Right. So that's why when I was going over the, I guess the summary, if you will, at the beginning, you saw a big decrease in the Public Works. We're putting those expenses into the departments that are handling those items at this point going forward. So
That's all of, I mean, that's the medians, that's everything.
Yes.
Right.
now with our new Parks and Rec staff, especially with our new ground superintendent, we're starting to be able to bring a lot more things back in-house. as far as our turf grass maintenance program with fertilizers, pre-emergence, things like that. Scott Cook, resident here, been superintendent, several golf courses. If you go by TK Elementary School and look at that thing, you go and look at Turner, you can tell Scott knows how to grow the grass. 100%, he's doing a great job. So we're bringing some of the stuff that we used to contract out, we're able to bring back in, but for not a lot of money, Yellowstone's able to come in with an entire army, get it all knocked out. And what used to take us 3 days and not as much stuff, now they're doing even more stuff than what we were doing, and they're getting it done in a day. So for less than what I can hire a body. So it's a good move there. So what questions do y'all have of Tim or Joey with Public Works?
Street maintenance?
Yes, sir.
The 30,000 increase, is that because of cost increase or is there something else?
A little bit, but Tim's got a breakdown.
It's a multifaceted breakdown of, we're going to try to do more patching and sealing of the roads to increase their longevity, so we don't have to do so much of total reconstruction. We're trying to keep some money in there for replacing street signs. We have some old street signs that are getting worn out and illegible, and trying to update that, and they're also the new reflective kind. So we have a phased approach to that, and we're trying to do it over several years, not all at once, because it would blow
very
the whole
expensive.
budget.
You can't afford it.
And we have a lot of sidewalk repairs to do. We have a lot of sidewalk repair requests, and 25,000 of that is in there for sidewalk repair.
We have our own concrete mixer.
We do not. We do not.
And we've gotten very fortunate with a company they found where if you've only got slight lifting, where they can come through and bevel those edges down, give you, so then you're not having to rip out a section and replace, things like that. And they motor through that stuff and do a really, really good job for us.
Have we visited the foam injected?
We have
foam?
not.
Okay. Might be something we might want to look at.
Okay.
Injectable foam.
Yep.
I've seen the commercials.
Yeah, I've seen it too. It looks pretty sharp.
We use it in a lot of places that we're in and out of. It's
Okay.
$50 a can. And you can level those pieces out fairly easily with it.
We can look into that.
Looking at that.
Usually when we have to yank out an entire sidewalk, it's because it's lifted a lot. And there's usually a tree root or something that's gotten under there and boogered it up, so.
A few questions, if I may. Tree care up 56%. Is there anything anticipated there?
We've been having a lot of trouble with greenway and nuos trees behind houses, and we have to take care of those when they become a hazard that's known to us. And
Fielded a few of those.
tree
calls.
care costs have gone up exponentially.
I bet. Okay.
So,
Travel and training up 100%.
We have some training we're going to do for an operator for hopefully a permitted composting area that we have to have and that's a significant cost.
That's the one that's been vacant for a while. We couldn't get it in the thing.
Yeah,
They
DHEC
haven't
wasn't
offered
offering the
training.
class.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow.
So what we're trying to do is on the back far end of the 20 acres that we got in Windhaven, where it's really just not suitable, it's far away from the houses, is convert that into a new composting area. So we've got a spot to take the leaves when we do the loose leaf collection and things like that. My guess is, and, don't quote me on this, but we'll probably get into a situation once we've got that up and running where we'll be able to give compost if residents want them for their flower beds, things like that. But DHEC won't let us have such facility without getting our folks certified. So that's why you've got a big uptick there. Tim, if I can.
Yes, sir?
Mr. Shirley had asked about tree care, but I think the explanation you gave was on tree work, on the removal of dead trees and things like that. The tree care, isn't that our, what is it, the IPM?
IPM program.
IPM program with Bartlett,
Yep.
where they're doing the pest management on the trees.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Fertilizers,
Fertilizers.
a lot of it in
Pine
the
beetles
median
and
trees
things
and
of that
things like
nature.
that.
Well, pine beetles are a different animal. You just have to cut them down and replace them. But we do spraying and fertilization on a lot of trees in the all the trees in the median, and then certain trees at the clubhouse and different parks.
Okay. Good.
That's what your tree care side is.
Last
Sorry.
one for me, equipment lease up 81%. Is that the leaf act?
That is the loader, I believe, right, Bob?
We just got a loader and a dump truck this year.
Yep.
And
And it may be
and
a portion of the LEFAC because stormwater, without increasing stormwater fees, just couldn't take on that burden. So, and your stormwater employees, with the exception of Shane, your stormwater employees are also your public works employees. So you've got 70% of their salaries are in public works and 30% are in stormwater.
Loader and leaf vac.
Load and leaf, yeah.
Loader in the leaf? Okay, thank you.
So those,
It looked like more than one.
Just for clarification, so I understand, the equipment leases in here are different than the general fund, like capital lease?
No,
Same?
Come in, Ed?
So, in this,
so he's looking at the debt schedule, Bob?
yeah.
So it would be included in one of those
It
two
is. Okay,
capital
that's-
leases that you see in general fund. That is
So
correct.
this is just to show us how much.
That's the breakdown of the department.
Certain
Got it.
percentages in different.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So in those general fund capital leases, you've got the stuff from Public Works, you've got some stuff from Police and Parks and Rec. And those, yep.
On the overtime, Tim, can we attribute that to a lot of the emergency call-outs? Then we're getting-
Emergency call-outs for storm cleanup and snow removal, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Knock on wood 14 times. We haven't had any of that lately.
Nothing major, no.
Now you said it.
You said it.
Too late.
We're done.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's ready for a white Christmas?
I'll have to work, but it'll be all right.
We'll remember this.
It'll be fun for somebody.
This day.
Right.
It's all right.
Microburst will roll through the
It's okay.
Yes.
God almighty, no.
I've been through everything and Hugo, so, you know,
All those pine trees with the pine beetles are coming down.
we'll take care of it.
Great, now Tim's bringing up hurricanes.
All right, can we stop?
Tempting fate now.
Can we move on?
We all good with Public Works now?
See, I can get out of it.
Any other questions
Plague of
for,
frogs.
any other questions for Tim on Public Works?
Thank you.
All
Awesome,
right,
thank you.
good. Thank you, Tim. Law enforcement, your police budget, your total expenditures, projected expenditures there is $3,566,533. Chief Crosby is reading the room and making his way on up to the table for the hot seat there. Again, as I had mentioned to council previously, none of the department budgets that we've discussed thus far include any new headcount. The only new headcount that we are requesting is in the park maintenance side of things, and that will be in the Parks and Rec budget. But with that being said, what questions do y'all have for Chief Crosby?
I'm just curious.
Pardon me, I'm the new guy. Yes, sir.
It
Yes,
sounded really cool the
It
first time.
sounded really good, didn't
It
it?
did.
Thank you. So $6,000 of that is for building cleaning, our janitorial service. That was in another line item. We decided to move it to this line item, which there's realistically about only a $4,000 increase in this particular line item. That sounds familiar. It sounded good, right? Second time?
And the police department is the only department that we use a janitorial service for. We actually have somebody on staff that handles City Hall, this building, Parks and Rec office, that type of thing.
What does the boat need for a 100% increase?
So we had $3,000 last year. What we did this year is we looked at the 100 days of summer, divided that up into a weekend cost, and then determined at gas prices, how much fuel would that give us to cover the 100 days of summer? And so that's why we increased that. Primarily it's because of the fuel cost, but also as you know, the engine's gonna have to be serviced each year. So we're making sure that we do that service each year, so, because we got a Yamaha, and if we take good care of it, it'll last us a very long
You
time.
bet. So that fuel.
That brings
cost
up a
doesn't
good
go
point
into
while
the
we're
fuel?
talking about fuel. Across all of our departments, what we budget on based on the average gallons used for the year, we did it on a $4.50 per gallon. At the time we were doing it, gas prices were almost at $5, but we're trending down. So we started at $5, backed it down to $4.50. Obviously, y'all can tell we're under $4 at this point. Hopefully, it keeps trending that direction, but time will only tell. So, with the exception of fire, which I think we used $5.50, Chief, for the diesel prices there. But on all your other vehicles, we did it based on a $4.50 per gallon.
The workers' comp line, is that on payments or insurance?
Mr. Barkin?
That's the Schmidt payment, Workman's Comp Insurance payment.
Okay. Glad to see that come down.
Comes right off the policy.
Must have been behaving ourselves for that premium to come
Different
down.
allocation each year,
Yeah.
Yeah,
different allocation each year.
that's good.
Chief, can you tell me about the medical expense?
Yes, sir. So that expense is for when we do hiring physicals. Also, we do drug screenings, or if we get into an accident, we do a mandatory drug screening. So anticipating having some new employees for next year and those drug screenings, that's why you see that increase.
And those are about, what, $250, $300 a pop, Dora?
Yes, sir.
Give or take?
Travel and training due to new employees as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're putting a heavy emphasis on leadership training. So as you know, we really want to focus on the FBI Leader Program. They have a great program that has what they call a trilogy session for line officers, mid-level supervisors, and executives. And therefore, it is all the same training. It is a little bit expensive, but it's quality training, and that's what we're going to leaning towards.
Good.
Chief, just for everyone else's benefit, I know I came and met with you and Janet about the computers in the car.
Yes, sir.
And we didn't have anything outlaid right now for capital expenses, but you want to talk about that, so if it comes up down the road?
Yes, sir. So the computers that we have in our car are, if you will, the officer's office is their patrol cars. And our goal is to keep them in the cars and on the roadway and available as much as possible. The computers that we have in the car are reaching the end of their life expectancy. Miss Janet and her team has done a wonderful job of, quite honestly, piecemealing and getting parts and getting them to work the best that she can. So we have presented a proposal to the city manager, and I think he's going to bring it to you in the coming days about getting some new laptops for the patrol cars. So that way those officers can have the connectivity they need for all the databases that we use their reports, and do their reports inside of their car on the roadway.
And I'll take one step further. In some analysis on our current fiscal year and where we're projected to finish up, what I'm actually going to do is bring that to council at your August 15th meeting. We feel like we're in a great position to be able to cash fund to replace those computers. So instead of doing any type of capital lease, and paying it off over 4 years or things like that, and having that impact on next year's funds.
Cash is king.
We feel like we're in a great position to be able to cash fund that. And we'll bring that, and Chief and Ms. Janet will talk you through the particulars on that at your August 15th meeting for consideration is what we're trying to gear towards right now.
Second.
Right. Aye.
So Chief, we're talking about doing the computers all in one whack.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So everybody's on the
Yes,
same
sir.
board.
And we can do it.
Well, and just, one thing Chief talked about, which was very great, is now, when the officers have to write a report, they park their car, they go in, they sit at a terminal station in the police station and
That's
write the
correct.
report.
Yes, sir.
With
And
these
they're,
new ones.
and they're unavailable on
That is
patrol.
correct.
They can sit on the side of the road, type the
Right.
report, and doing a deterrence. You run a speed trap?
Right.
Write a report, but you don't know that.
But you're exactly right.
So, which I was like, that's awesome.
The whole goal is to be visible as much as possible. So if we have an officer sitting in the middle of the road in the median, a safe place, the motorist does not know if that officer's writing a report or running
Right.
radar. And we,
Preferably on Windjammer.
Just as
we
well.
achieve
Right near Kiwi.
I just wanted to highlight that for you.
Yes.
You gotta build your little parking pad over there.
Or on the median. in,
We'll do all
TDK.
report writing at Windjammer Park going forward.
That's right. No, that's a good strategy.
Anything else for
Like
Chief
that.
Crosby? Any other questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along, fire services. Your projected fire expenses for the coming year is $2,561,500. And without further ado, what questions do y'all have for Chief Hasty on his budget proposal?
I know the answer is going to pop right out, but the one that jumped out at me was the IT expense. I'm sure you're getting something good that's well needed, but what is it?
We've got a couple of things that we need to replace currently. There's a sonic wall. So the sonic walls for the communication between the fire stations and City Hall so we can access the server. A lot of what we do today is IT driven. So we need to access that. Janice identified that as a need, so we put that in the budget for the coming year. We've also got a computer in my vehicle that is reached end of life, so we've got to replace it. And you guys know it's all mil spec, they don't stand the heat. So we're using a Panasonic Toughbook, and it's an expensive computer,
Yes.
so.
But you can about skip it across the parking lot if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's almost firefighter proof. Almost.
Firefighter proof. I like it.
Percentage increase in fuel is pretty dramatic. Is that
It is.
because of diesel? Because
Yes.
diesel's so much more
Yeah,
expensive?
it's
Yes.
crazy. It's crazy.
We budgeted that based on $5.50 per gallon. I think
I
last
saw
time.
$4.99 today.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
we're,
goodness.
Right.
$4 is where I wanted to get to.
Right.
So we can stop the fuel surcharge with,
$2.89
on
would
the
be good.
trash, but yes, it would. But yeah, so we've got that budget right now at $5.50 per gallon.
Got it. Thank you.
Chief, seeing a big change in the EMS. Is that a result of EMS moving to,
Yeah, they moved to Piedmont.
Piedmont?
Yeah, they did. So, no, so it's several things driving that. Hold times at the hospitals, those kind of things for EMS units. It's taking longer to get to us. What we're doing is we're actually going to enhance our drug program. So right now, we're not carrying epinephrine, so if somebody has an allergic reaction, we don't carry it currently. So we're going to start carrying that. Narcan for an unknown. Somebody may have taken some sort of a drug overdose. We can give that to them immediately and reverse those effects. Nebulizer for people having difficulty breathing. It's just increasing our capabilities to better serve our citizens. So that's
More times than not, we're first one on scene on those medical costs.
Yeah, for quite a while.
Absolutely, and I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that everybody knew why we
Yeah.
were having to do, because they moved the
Yeah.
ambulance to Piedmont
Yep.
instead of it being here. So we're trying to be a little proactive on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
And we've got probably,
makes
what,
sense.
95% of your staff is national, on the National Registry for EMTs?
Yeah, right now, we've only got 2 that are not,
There you go.
and they're working on it currently. So,
Nice job.
yeah, thank you.
One of the largest percentage increases in salaries and wages that we've seen, is there a reason there's an unusual shift to this department?
Not really. Cut it off, Sean. Not really. It's still the same, what we discussed, moving that base level pay up to make sure that they're still competitive with what they're trying to recruit against.
We hire more people or something? Is that
do
why
what?
that? Have we been able to hire some more folks?
Well, we're trying.
We're trying. We're trying. It ain't got there yet, but no, nothing unusual there. Right now, Chief, you've got 4 or 5?
I've got, as of tomorrow morning, I'll have 5 vacancies.
5 vacancies that we're trying to fill
So,
in fire. And that is very unusual for that department. Usually, we have stacks of applications in.
yeah, and it's not uncommon. Statewide, we're seeing the same problem all over the state, so.
Any other questions for Chief Hasty?
No.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
sir.
Your Parks and Recreation budget, projected expenditures of $1,306,584. Dustin is not reading the room. Come on up. Hop in that, it is. A round of applause for Dustin. First time.
Nice job.
Good job. So again, on your salaries and wages there,
help me.
you're seeing a major uptick, right? But you're also seeing that shift of salaries of folks that had been allocated into Public Works are now allocated here. It also includes the 3 new hires that we are requesting. Those are in there as well. We're envisioning those starting, October 1st. The likelihood of that happening is, I wouldn't take it to Vegas. I would not take those odds. But, basically, the game plan would be is, after the public hearing and first reading of the budget, is to advertise those, get those positions advertised. Even with advertising, then, let's say we get a slew of good applicants, by the time they get onboarded, earliest is going to end up being mid-October. But we feel like with a little bit of stretching, we can get through October and November if we have to. Yeah, and then get into those winter months. But we're definitely going to need them when we roll around to mid-February for certain, where Catawba Park is full tilt with tournaments and all of our local league stuff and that kind of thing. So, plus, we want to make sure that Turner, Rundy, all of our other parks, Windjammer and whatnot, all stay in tip-top shape. So those three people won't be just allocated solely to Catawba Park. It will be to enhance what we're currently doing with the addition of the park.
I'm sure that you've already thought of this, but, I mean, my thought is if we're gonna start doing tournaments in October, you know, I'm always been the kind of person, if something's not right when it comes out of the gate, then I just turn my back to it. It's gotta be right. So I'm assuming you have a contingency plan if you don't have enough personnel when we start this, that nobody's ever gonna know.
That's where you see the uptick in the overtime
Right.
Correct.
to help cover that until we are full staff.
Yep. And we agree with you 100% that it's got to be right from the jump. That first tournament's got to be as close to perfect as we can humanly get it. We want everybody walking out of there with a good taste in their mouth, 100%.
Sports uniforms went down. Is that because of Charlotte Independence? They providing them or something?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's part of our agreement with them, I guess?
That is correct.
Okay.
Further questions y'all have of Dustin on the Parks and Rec budget? And again, just as you're glancing through, we did pull over the those items from the Public Works budget. Didn't pull them over as names, if you will, line item names, but they are included in these numbers. So when you look at contract grounds maintenance and you look at park maintenance, that kind of thing, you're seeing tremendous upticks there. That's where we're pulling those things from Public Works across over to Parks and Rec.
The vehicle lease, is that something that came over, or is that just new?
No, that's new Parks and Rec truck that we've already acquired, yes, sir. We've got one more that we're going to get, but we're going to be able to cash fund that as part of the, with the Catawba Park funds, so it won't be an impact here. We're just waiting till we get a little closer to, okay, there's no more uh-ohs during the construction process, and then we'll move forward with that.
Why did salaries and wages go up 76%, but retirement went up 92%?
So your salaries and wages went up because you've pulled over those other employees plus the three new.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Plus the uptick there.
You did a good job of explaining salaries and wages, but why is retirement higher than
The
that?
percentage is higher too.
Yep,
Okay.
Percentage of the time's gone up too.
Now, that's indicative of contributions we make to the retirement plan,
that is
is that right?
correct. So the employees have a percentage that is a pre-tax deduction on their end, and then we have an employer contribution that's mandated by state law. And it goes up by, what, 1%?
1%, right, Dora, this year?
Yeah, another 1%. I think we've got maybe one more increase in 2024, supposedly last year. Basically, a few years ago, General Assembly looked at it, people brought it to them, hey, the retirement system is completely out of whack. We're going to have to start increasing the employee and the employer contribution. The employee contribution increases have ended, but we've still got next year and the following year on the employer increases, and then that will stabilize.
Puts it at the cap.
That's correct.
Okay.
So
Until the General Assembly decides we need to do
Right.
more.
with the repairs and maintenance on the equipment, we've got guys in-house that are doing that, correct?
That's correct. It's more for your parts and materials that they have to buy.
Okay.
And that's the inclusion of equipment from Catawba Park as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got 2 full-time mechanics, and one is a certified diesel mechanic. They maintain all of our vehicles with the exception of our fire apparatus, and that we've got contracts with people that specialize in those that come in.
Can you help me understand the difference between contract ground maintenance and park maintenance?
Yep, so your contract grounds maintenance is gonna be your mowing. So like we talked about before, all your medians and things like that. It also includes your Catawba Park mowing, as well as the dam area. So that would be your contract grounds maintenance. Your park maintenance will be your general park maintenance. It's our, Scott's turf application plan for all the grass area, and then your landscape maintenance that was pulled over from Public Works.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor, you had a question? Okay. Anything else for Dustin in Parks and Recreation? Good deal. Good job, Dustin.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Appreciate it, guys.
Non-departmental expenses,
Somebody knows how to run that department now.
shots fired.
Love you guys.
Your total non-departmental expenses are projected at $3,353,240. If you scroll up, if you look up towards the top, you got legal fees at $65,000. Your flags, that's that's primarily your big giant flag, as well as your replacement flags at PD, fire, city hall, that type thing, is what's in there. Your safety program, that's the safety program for all of our staff that we do. And then you've got you see your debt payments in there. So you've got your golf course bond, which is at $7.5 million. Number one there at $506,137. Again, that is set to expire, be paid off in 2030. So woohoo for 2031. You've got your City Hall bond payment at $72,092, your fire station bond payment at $202,330, your police bond at $223,983, and your new Catawba Park bond at the $589,697.
How the big jump in the police station bond?
It's based on the payment schedule.
Payment schedule and then extra interest during the year.
Yep.
Extra interest. There's an interest payment and then a PI payment.
Does that change each year?
The PD one steadily goes up, and then it will start to tail off as your interest gets paid down.
When do you anticipate that curve?
Bob, do you have that?
I don't have that in front of me.
You don't have that
Okay.
schedule?
I don't have it.
Casey's taking our notes for us tonight, so we can definitely follow back up with you on that.
Thank you.
We can give you a whole synopsis on all those bonds as far as
The payment schedule.
the payment schedule and that kind of thing. That's easily done.
The 2005 bond, that won't change for the next 8 years, right? Do I understand that correctly?
No, that goes down
That
towards
goes
the
down a
tail
little
end.
bit.
Yep.
Okay,
Goes down a little bit.
thank you.
Yeah, we're getting on the tail end of that, so that you're
One
gonna
of the
see.
biggest ones, so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
As it goes down, the others go up. It's
Yay.
almost a balancing.
Yeah.
To get them. And I think, if I recall correctly, everything with the exception of Catawba Park, I think are paid off by 2032. Bob, is that right?
Let's see, the police station 2033.
Okay, so that's the last one, so
Fire
2033.
station's 2031.
Yeah,
City Hall 2027.
yeah. So those will start ticking down. Your employee program, that's our employee assistance program that we provide for our employees. There's your trash and recycle service. That's, you had the revenues up top. Here's where your expenditures are. And then your other nominal things. But your bond payments are your big ticket items through here. And as you continue down, you'll see, just kind of a recap, your total expenses, your total revenues. You're to the good of $658,968 projected. Right now, we don't have any capital items in there. The one capital that I would request that council consider, it wouldn't have a budgetary impact for this fiscal year, for this coming fiscal year. We've got to replace some patrol cars due to high mileage and age. It's 4 in total. As a requirement by all of our lending institutions, we'd have to bring y'all a resolution back before any of that type of borrowing. Typically, we do that during your November council meeting, but we do have four of our patrol cars that we need to swap out for new ones. They're starting to eat us on maintenance costs.
And that payment will be 1 year later.
Right, when we do those. So, as we look at that, what I would like to do, council, if you'll recall from your meeting 2 weeks ago, when we had First Tryon here, we showed you a list of capital items. what I would propose is other than those patrol cars and one other item that we missed with Parks and Rec, which I'll go back to, would like to come back at either your March or April meeting, because probably more your April meeting, because I think we'll have a better forecast, if you will. We'll have a little bit clearer picture. Yes, the budget's performing as we expected. It's performing better than we expected, or, whoa, it's not performing the way we expected. But if things go at least at a minimum the way we're forecasting here, then look at those capital things. Look at some of those capital leases. Hey, what leases can we pay off?
Right.
What of these capital projects is council prepared to take on? And then make that decision in April versus trying to make it in August and September, with there being a lot of uncertainty still kind of lingering out there, if you will. The other capital thing that we didn't discuss, we don't have it here in the proposal, but we do have pricing on it, is a potential automatic gate at Windjammer. So we've gotten some pricing on it. We're getting another quote as well, so we can compare some things. But with running power to it, getting the Wi-Fi and things like that, you're looking at, what do we figure, about $90,000, $85,000 to $90,000.
I'd say 90 be safe.
Okay, now, here's the key, all right? So 38,000 of that is for 4,000 decals, okay, that have barcode readers. Somebody pulls up, there's space in the lot, they've got the decal, it automatically reads it, gate goes up, they're able to pull in. Lot's full, there's a turnaround space, they turn around, they gotta leave, all right? We can get the decals cheaper, all right? So those decals are about $9 each, where it's a TKK logo on it, and it's got the barcode imprinted on it. This January, all the parking decals expire, all right, all the residential. This is the end of the third year when we hit December 31st. So we've got to reissue new parking decals anyway. So that's option one, is we go with the $9 decals. Every resident, gets it. We calculate it just on 4,000 of them, all right? Another option is we can we can give out the regular decals to all our residents, and we could just get a barcode decal, all right? We've got them on all of our patrol cars whenever they go into the patrol lot. So it's a small, transparent-looking barcode reader attached to the top of the windshield, would serve the same function. Decals are a lot cheaper.
$4.
They're $4. They're half as much. So you could cut that 38,000 down, right, to probably $1,700 or there's actually a third option. We give out the regular decals, use them at Beach Club, use them at Pitcairn, that type thing. And the folks that want the Windjammer Pass, we charge them the $4. They get the extra decal, they go in. Obviously, that's not your non-resident price, but just for your resident. It's $4, bam, boom, there you go. Or we just get them all and you just pass them out. We eat the cost, as we've always done on the resident. But typically, the stickers that we're buying are like $2 and $3 that we're getting. The barcode reader's a $4 sticker. Barcode so that people don't have the duplicate decals is a $9 sticker. I think the price we got was about 72, 73 on the gate right now.
Yeah.
So we're working on another, getting an additional quote there. Your Wi-Fi, getting the internet stuff to it. I've already got quotes from Caborium. It's not outrageous, but you will have a monthly expense that goes on along with that, obviously. Power shouldn't be an issue. We've got a electrician looking. We're pretty sure we can pull it off the pavilion, trench it in, run it down, and good to go there. So it shouldn't be crazy expensive to do that.
Chris and I talked about it a little bit, I wasn't sure about the turnaround space.
So basically what we would do is we would go into the parking lot off of the driveway. So you would lose 2 spots. Okay.
One per turnaround, right? Basically.
Well, but then you've got
to
the
be
fence
safe,
and everything,
yeah.
so you want to have a full, give them plenty, we don't want them backing into the gate and all that kind of stuff.
There's 100 lots like that around Panther Stadium.
Right.
You pull in, turn around, and go out.
Yes. So with doing that, that's why you don't see any seasonal part-time in the Parks and Rec budget, is assuming that we would do that. If we don't do that, we'll roll the dice again and see if we can coax somebody into doing the seasonal part-time or continue covering it with overtime from staff we already have on hand.
It was difficult this year.
I don't
Very, very
know,
difficult.
what'd we budget for that last year? The
8,500?
8,500.
Yep.
And I would say out of the summer weekends, I'd probably say staff has covered it in overtime 65 to 70% of the time.
we spend more than 8,500?
No, it hits the overtime budgets.
I guess what would you
So it
think we
wouldn't
spent
actually
total?
be pulled out of that.
But if we spend, including overtime, we think we spent on it.
A lot of it depends on the employee that we get to do it.
Yeah.
If it's PD, it's going to be more expensive than a maintenance guy, so on and so forth.
I guess what I'm getting at, I mean, do you think it was 10 grand or was it 100 grand?
I'd say you're probably closer to the 10.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 to 15.
One thing I know I mentioned to Charlie, and I was gonna mention to the group tonight, an alternative to the gate, potentially, is an employee. And Chief, come on up. The idea I wanted to just bring up as a possibility was, you don't have the seasonal employee, you get rid of the overtime, but the police department picks up an employee, whether that's an officer or a meter maid, for lack of a better term, that works Windjammer, writes tickets and everything else, but can also patrol the other areas where we need stickers. It was just an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And
a
Chief-
recurring expense versus a one-time expense.
Yep, Chief and I talked about that. Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so the concern that I have first and foremost is if we go with a part-time individual or many folks are accustomed to a meter maid type person. We've had a very difficult time getting someone to cover the Windjammer Park already. Getting someone on a part-time basis by saying you're going to work every summer and the weekend or every weekend this summer and just have the weekdays off, I think it's going to be a very difficult time. Long-term plan for the PD is when you approve the dog to come on board, that was part of the K9/traffic team. I want to build that team to be traffic, parking, and also part of the community team because the dog is such a big asset to the community. So I would like to build there. The only downside with that is once we move forward and we are able to get fully staffed, I can build that team. I just cannot build it right now. It would be in the near future. So that is something that we are looking forward to doing and want to do, but I just can't do it right now. By having it at the PD side, by having one officer designated to that, you do run into, well, this person's not working, so it doesn't get the attention on this day or this day while that person's off. Whereas if we add that person to this team, then we're able to have that team focus on this because it's their primary duties. Plus, we're addressing the parking issues that we're getting and some of the other speed complaints that we're getting.
I'm gonna throw something out there that's heresy, and I can't believe I'm doing this on camera. So, I'm gonna do it anyway. If we decide to allocate the funds to build a gate that costs about 2.5 times more than I thought it would cost, but what the hell do I know? I change oil for a living. I would have no problem. We've got this crown jewel of a beautiful park over there, and I don't have any problem asking residents that want to use the facility to pay a nominal fee to use it. I mean, $10 is nothing to use a park 12 months out of the year. I really have zero problem doing that. The second thing is, I mean, I don't know, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 is the problem at the park more about the number of complaints or the loudness of said complaints versus the problem at the park. Is it really that large of a problem that we should allocate those sort of funds to stop it? And that might be a rhetorical question, so maybe I don't get crucified for what I just said.
What you're saying, is it a problem or a perceived problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, honestly,
Hard to tell.
that's really only a question that the four of y'all can answer. My personal opinion, based on the plans that Chief Crosby and I have discussed, right now, he's got a lot of new officers, if you will, a good handful of them still in the FTO program, where they can't be out on their own. Yeah, we still got, 2 open positions?
3 openings.
3 openings right now. Let's get those filled. Honestly, I don't know that a $90,000 investment at Windjammer, even if we, charge everybody that wants to go in there $10 a one-time fee to do the sticker. I don't know that it's worth it, to be quite honest. I think it can be handled, and other issues addressed by working through Chief's plan with this, call it a community action team, whatever the case may be. Yeah, nobody wants to go to the academy to write parking tickets. You know, they want to be an officer. Well, we get, as y'all are well aware, we get a lot of speeding complaints about Windjammer. We get them about Molokai. We get them about Stonecrest Boulevard. We get them about Gardendale Road. And we're actively patrolling. You know, on average, you've got 3 people on patrol at any one given time, all right, no matter time of day or day of the week. By building into this with some transitions that we're going through at PD and getting back to full staff, now you've got people that can focus on those areas. Yeah, they can saturate Gardendale if we're getting a lot of complaints there without taking away from your normal patrol. Yeah, they can target those parks during those heavy months.
So you can focus on crime and public safety.
That's correct.
Correct.
Right.
That's correct.
A concern that was brought to us by Janet and Tim as well, just based off experience with the PD barcode reader, is doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So what's your backup plan when
Yeah.
you drive up to the park? There's not going to be a staff member there to say, "Oh yeah, let me just let you in." So there adds that layer.
Very good point.
You're going to have contractors that will
You have a backup
just-
on Windjammer at the
Yeah.
narrowest part of the road.
You'll have a contractor that will go down to Windjammer and use the restroom. They always use our parks for restrooms. What happens when they drive down? You're inevitably going to have someone run into
Actually,
this
one I
gate as
just thought
well.
about, the garbage truck.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
It turns around at Windjammer when it gets to the end after the
Unintended
last,
consequences.
after the last one on the right. It turns around and
It
it definitely
creates a
wouldn't be able
lot
to do
of
that.
potential other issues.
What's that particular gate that we're looking at? There is a function that you can push a button and you can call somebody that's on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That if you do
What's your phone
have-
number, Chris?
It sounds like a mayoral
Already on
phone call.
Already on call. But there is a function to where the company does provide that kind of an operator to where if there is a garbage truck wanted to go down and turn around,
Yep.
they can do that. They can see it in real time and they can address that problem, open the gate.
Whatever that number of city-owned cell phones was, could you increase it by 1 for the mayor for the
For
gate
this.
calls?
Yes.
I think you should still
For the
let
gate
Tom and I
calls.
write
Gate
tickets.
phone. Sure, we could do that.
Deputize us.
Do the gate phone. But
We'll go down there and work on our TAM. while we're writing
based on
tickets.
this conversation,
Right.
does council want us to, I mean, because if we're gonna proceed forward with a gate, we probably need to get that moving, you know, in October, so that we're prepared.
Should table it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's a rush. I mean, the 6 more
Okay.
months we do it next year was personally.
Okay,
I agree with your comment.
Can you be okay with that?
Oh,
so we'll start, so in
Somebody will
January,
ram it, no doubt about it.
so in January, we'll start with we'll just plan on doing our regular decals, as we've always done. Now, with that, I would like to throw out another, proposal to council on this.
Thanks, Chief.
With our residential stickers, they used to be annual, and then several years ago, we moved them to 3 years, because, one, we didn't want to have so many people coming in every year to change their stickers, and the residents don't like it. And we've now also switched to, it's a free resident decal. Yeah, you come in, as many as you need. You just you get 1 sticker per registration. Yeah, as long as your registration is tied to a TKK address and your license matches that address, here's you a sticker, right? So if you've got 4 kids driving, plus you and your wife, and you need 6, come see us, right? How does council feel about moving those to just permanent resident decals, to where you don't have to renew them? Hey, you sell your car, you need a new sticker, bring in the registration, here's a sticker. You gotta replace your windshield, it's what we're doing anyway, right? Instead of having residents have to come back every 3 years, we just do a permanent sticker. Our non-resident decals would still be annual, just like we've been doing, but how does council feel about just making this hey,
What's the cost difference?
you'd probably be buying a lot less stickers over the years.
You'll save money over the long term.
It's not a lot, but you'll definitely have a savings over time.
But we're still talking the $2 and $3 stickers.
Yes, the stickers are still the same. We're just not going to date them. We're not going to put an expiration on them, if you will.
What would the non-resident stickers,
They're a different color.
that's gonna say you have to make.
And
it-
they have a date on it.
Okay, cool.
Yep. They would have the year of it. So we reorder the non-resident stickers every year.
I don't see an issue with it.
Okay,
If somebody moves out of here, they're not gonna come back and fight to get in our parks.
correct.
I've hoodwinked you. I moved right to Fort Mill so I could get it. Didn't spend that $100 on a non-resident sticker.
Everybody in TKK is able to sell
Maybe
their
a
cars
market
now.
on eBay for permanent TKK.
I've got a
parking
car with
stickers.
a TKK sticker on it if you,
Right.
no doubt. It,
Keep those under lock and key.
yes, sir.
Somebody comes in sticker snatching.
Sticker snatching.
we do have a
There we go.
gem
Gentlemen, any other questions on general fund?
Can I go back to the 4 police cars that we talked about?
Yes, sir.
That, just respectfully, when we get to that part of our conversation, could I ask that maybe we provide age and mileage?
Oh,
and-
100%.
And a breakdown of what
Yes, sir.
maintenance costs look like on those vehicles that
Yep.
we're wanting to replace?
Not a problem at all.
You already have it? No. We're a few months away from that, aren't we?
Smart ass.
November.
No, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure you have your information you need. Let's see.
You couldn't wait for me to ask that
But
question.
also, just as the patrol cars that we ordered last November, we finally got the last one in, what, last month?
Yes, sir.
So,
Welcome to my world.
Now, this is coming
Yes.
from a guy who has
Yes.
a 2008 Explorer that my family rides around in. It's cheaper to fix than replace it. You do have a old timer.
Okay, so the cars that we're proposing to change is a
He's on.
2015
he's on, Bob.
Ford sedan. That's got roughly 90,000 miles on it.
Is that like a Fusion?
Yes, yes, sir, kind of. Four-door car.
Got it.
The next one is a 2015 Ford sedan. It's got approximately 110,000 miles on it. 2016 Ford SUV Interceptor. It's got 119,000 miles on it. And then the final one is, the last one is the 2015 Ford sedan, roughly 87,000 miles on it.
I didn't know a Ford would hit 6 digits. I really,
Well,
Is
my
it-
Dodge Ram has 347,000 miles on it. so
One of the
we'll be
things that
all right. We'll be
we
okay for a
figured
while.
out several years ago is if we try to target around that 100,000 mile mark on our patrol cars, they'll still have value at auction. Yeah, once we start exceeding that, the maintenance costs start skyrocketing, and what we would get for it when we do sell it at auction drops drastically. So we figured out over the years that 100,000 mile mark's a good sweet spot before we start getting a little upside down on those vehicles.
And each of these vehicles, we do have listed as in poor condition, whether it be mechanical and body, or just mechanical.
Thank you.
Any other questions on general fund before we move to Beach Club? All right. This is the part of the meeting where things pick up pace a little bit. So,
Charlie, quick question on
Yes, sir.
trash. Why did trash go up so much, 12%?
no, number of new customers.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. But
And
when
we
I
do
look
have
back
that out for
before,
bid right
revenue
now, too.
was 950, so it looks like our revenue is less than our cost there.
Because we have trash costs that contribute to the city. We have our own dumpsters, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, move
Yep,
on.
no problem at all. And those trash charges to the city aren't with Signature Waste, they're with the dumpster service company.
Okay.
And it's just in that line item. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Good, all right. Beach and Swim Center. Good job, Dustin.
Trying to read the room.
There you go.
Wow.
So our
Work.
Beach and Swim Center, as Gus will recall, 2 budgets ago, we were thinking this was going to be subsidized by the general fund and going to have to become a daily rate pool. Being able to remodel that facility and bring in our concessions provider down there, we are still getting memberships. We just sold, what, 1 or 2 this week?
One more. 776.
So it has really, really turned around. So Our projected revenues are $195,447. Honestly, we could probably put another 8 to 10,000 on that from membership revenue, just where we are now. But again, as is the case with all our departments, we try to be very cautious on those revenue streams. Concession revenue, you're really talking mainly June, July. You got a little bit in May. You'll have some in August. They do have a license on the space for year round. Right now, they're hinting around about maybe wanting to do some stuff in the off season. What kind of revenues those will generate to us, we don't know. In year one of the agreement, they're paying 3% of their gross, and this is in addition to the H-tax. They're paying 3%, and for the four subsequent years after that, they go up to 5%. So again, just not having a clear picture on a full season with it yet. Just budgeting a modest $3,500 there, but it is going quite well. Your expenditure side, again, on your salaries and wages, you've got about 5% of 3 or 4 of our Parks and Rec staff. It's 4?
4.
That's right. It's, yeah.
Austin, Walker, Kira, and Jimmy.
Yep, that's right. So you've got 4 of our Parks and Rec staff that are going to handle customer issues. They're working with the pool management company, that kind of thing. So a small percentage of their salaries in there. And then the capital outlay, the $56,000, that is finishing painting the exterior of the building. So we completely redid the interior. The exterior is that we did was the pool facing side of the building. So we've got $4,000 in there to paint the remainder of the exterior for next year, as well as redoing the entire pool deck with a rubberized surface over the concrete, which would be really, really nice. We either need to do that or we got to start jackhammering out some concrete and repouring pool deck. So that's what your capital outlay is, and it leaves you revenues over expenditures to the good of almost $17,000, which is really good shape for the Beach and Swim Center. It's performing very, very well. What?
I tried to get
Yes.
Bob and Charlie to let me budget Dynamite for a solid 3 or 4 years just to let it fall into Lake Wiley, but this is the best Beach and Swim Center budget I've ever been a part of.
Mm-hmm. The pool maintenance, that's a guess number on that pool maintenance contract. We will be bidding it out again. So based on what last year's bids came in at, this is more than what they were coming in at, but we feel very confident it's a good budgetary number, but we will be rebidding that contract again.
Have you been happy with the change, the new contract?
I'll say ish, to quote my teenager, ish.
We
It's
like
good.
the setup works better, but
Yes.
the execution is
There's been some challenges.
lacking.
Yeah.
Sus.
Dustin, tell me about the swim team.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like
What-
to know about the swim team?
We've got 5,000 in there for the
That
swim
would be-
team,
That's for the coach.
for the coach.
Yep.
They collect and pay us,
Yeah,
and then
they-
we pay it
Yeah,
back
so
out.
you've
We
got a
usually
swim team
adjust
revenue
the
line
coach.
item up top.
3447 at the top.
I don't know which one you were.
Well,
referencing.
we got one up at the top here that says swim team,
Yeah.
8447.
And
We
then
got
down
another one down at the bottom that says swim team for
Yep.
$5,000.
Yep.
That's the coach.
That's the coach.
Yep.
And then we keep the remaining portion.
Are we winning?
Hey, we were Metro League champions this year.
Metro Line League, yep.
Yep.
It's what, 12 years in a row?
I think so. So yes, sir.
Very, very good swim team. We've got, what, 180, 190 swimmers?
Great.
They start practicing in April, they get in the pool in May, they're done by the end of June.
I think anything that we can do to keep our kids busy,
Yes, sir.
especially when you're incorporating great exercise like that,
Mhm.
Swim team accounts for about
team camaraderie.
30% of our net profit.
2 questions on that. So you got a 8288 transfer to general fund?
Yes, sir.
What's that?
That was what I mentioned during the revenue portion on general fund. It's their portion of our landscape contract.
Oh, okay, got it. Remember.
So when Yellowstone's down there mowing, trimming the hedges, things like that,
Yep.
it's Beach and Swim Center's debt back to general fund.
21%.
And then
yeah.
the revenue, the estimated revenue, that just goes into the general fund as revenue. It's
Yes. Yeah.
split throughout where.
revenue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's in that other revenue category, yes. Any other questions on Beach and Swim Center? Good deal. Run, Dustin, run.
Hey, I'll be back in just a little bit.
Now on to TCUD. Mr. Jolly comes to the table. Your projected total revenues on the utility department are $6,360,965. Your projected expenses are at $5,951,543, giving you a positive net balance of $409,422. I do want to go ahead and before we get into questions, make you aware, as you see when you look at your fee schedules, we are looking to do a fee increase on water and sewer. Those are pass-through increases that are coming from Fort Mill and Rock Hill. The Rock Hill one began in July. We've gotten to a point finally with TCUD to where we used to have to do July increases, right? We couldn't afford to just cover that, if you will. And now we are able to. So instead of bringing this to you back in April, May to go into effect July 1, we'll just roll it in with the October 1 is what we are projecting there. So with that being said, nothing really big for me to capture here, so I'll just be quiet and we'll take any questions you've got for Philip or myself.
Impact fees, we saw impact fees earlier in the budget that were flat, but we got an increase here.
Yes, sir. So when you've got 5 different impact fees that a builder has to pay, all right? So when they pull the permit for their building, they're paying police, fire, parks and rec, assuming they're building a home, all right? If they're building a commercial entity, it's just police, fire. When they come in to pay for their water application, hey, I need a meter, then they pay the water and sewer impact fee, okay? And you've got a water impact fee, and then you've got a sewer impact fee that gets combined, but we have to split them into separate accounts. Your impact fees here are what we're based on bringing in to cover the expense of the water tower bond. And was there anything else in there, Bob? Okay. We've got sewer impact fees that we'll want to have a conversation about probably later on in the fiscal year about a, Phil, what was it?
Vac truck.
A vac truck.
Permanent stationary pump.
Yep.
One of the lift stations.
And those will be funded through, portions funded through the sewer impact fees. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We have some state funding and grabbing that too.
I don't know if we can get any FEMA grant funds for the vac truck. I know we could on generators. I don't know that we can on the vac truck, but we can look into that and see, but I'm not aware of it.
Usually they don't.
Oh, you just turned it off. There you go.
Usually they don't do vehicles for FEMA.
Okay, there you go.
I'm thinking vehicles, if we could pose the question, with a vac truck, if we went with a vac trailer instead of a vac truck, you'd be able to get it into smaller areas, and then it doesn't qualify as a vehicle.
Well, when I say vac truck, is actually a combination truck, jetting and vacuuming. You go to a vac trailer, it's just a vac trailer. So you lose.
The jetting portion.
Yes.
That's just something I was throwing out, because, I saw the federal money that can't apply it to vehicles, but if.
Right.
We'd like to have
piece
a
of
vac,
equipment like that.
a vac trailer as well to get in those smaller, but that'll be another conversation down the road as well, depending on where those impact fees come out at.
Okay.
And we are, we will be applying for those new funds that are being made available by the state. It's through RIA, but the COG is administering. Philip's done a great job of staying in touch with Catawba COG. We're going after how much?
We're gonna try another $5 million.
$5 million there. And we'll be able to use the ARPA funds, a portion of those ARPA funds, as our 20% match on those. So really won't be a budgetary impact. It will from a spreadsheet. We'll have to show funds in, funds out, right? But once we get to an award process, we'll be able to, and that'll be, it's all treatment plant 2, isn't it?
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4, okay. So,
Where are we at with the pipeline?
of pipeline.
Is it done? Wasn't it treatment plant 4? We were having to truck everything out.
Now, go ahead, Philip.
We're in the planning phase of that, getting the plans together and permitting together. We hope to bring that back to council sometime around September, October timeframe.
Is that in here?
No, that'll be through the ARP
Yeah,
funds.
that's your ARPA funds.
Okay.
Yep. So that one you won't actually see run through the TCUD operating budget.
I just have a lot of questions about that, and I'll make sure we're
Yep.
using those ARPA
So
funds
one
for
of the
that.
biggest things that Philip's doing is increasing the size of what is referred to as Plant 4, so that it's got partial treatment. And then it's already got the ability to pump back, but at that point, right now, it'd just be pumping back raw sewage. And we're also looking to increase the capacity so that we don't have to pump and haul as much during a significant I&I event or something.
If we get the COG grant, would it replace any of the line items in here, any of the, like the maintenance treatment plant, stuff like
It will
that?
help reduce some of the maintenance to the treatment plant, but it
Not a lot.
will never go away. That and sludge hauling,
I was just curious.
but it
Thank
will
you.
never, we still have to haul it because we are contracted through our NPDS permit to do so.
And Philip brings up a great point, though. It will help reduce, it won't replace, but it will help bring those down some over the years.
We'll upgrade the system.
Correct, yes. And it'll get our guys to where, our treatment plant operators, where they don't have to come in every single day on the weekend. They can monitor things through SCADA from the comfort of their home instead of having to come in and go through everything, so.
Is that what we're looking at for the overtime? Right now, it's for the guys coming in on the weekends, monitoring that?
You talking about the increase in overtime? Well, that and the lack of employees we have now, breaks are continuing to rise, things of that nature, so.
We're 4 short, 3 short?
3.
3 short in TCUD right now, so. So it's, we've gone from 5 to 3, which is good. But still got 3 openings there, and applaud those guys that are, it's
Absolutely.
a lot of long nights they've had to spend on some of these breaks, and it's always the same guys having to do it, so, doing a great job there. What other questions do y'all have for TCUD?
We've got an IT expense down there that we're going up 50%.
That's computers.
So everybody's about to the life of their computers.
Well, we have, I want to say 7 or 8, and that's replacing 3 of those, I think.
We try to keep them on a fairly consistent schedule to where we're not having to replace every
Everything at
computer
one
in the
time.
city one time and having them all on the same life cycle.
I agree.
Yes. Bob and I can remember TCO budgets where general fund was having to help carry the bill in the early years. So to be able to build up the reserves on that. And one thing that I'll say just especially for our new members of council, because of our borrowings on the SRF and on the acquisition, we're required to keep a 1.2 to 1 debt service ratio, all right? So we've got to make sure that we're bringing in, 1.2 times what that debt is, and we've got to stay at those levels. Otherwise, we'll be in violation of those covenants on those loan purchasing, so. Oh, yes. A lot of filings Bob has to do annual on that. So TCUD has finally gotten into a really, really good position to where we're not as frantic on an a sewer line break, a lift station going down. It's been able to put itself in a good financial position to be able to take on those unforeseen things.
And
It's really nice.
do I recall you said a couple years ago, if you fall below the 1.2, they call in the note?
They can.
They have the ability to. Doesn't mean they definitely will, but they can.
They would want us, they would give us a warning,
Yeah.
raise the rates, whatever.
How is that measured? Is that measured quarterly or annually?
Anyway,
Annually.
Annual,
Mhm.
they take our financial statement.
That's where
Still
accounting's
kinda
more of an art than a science then, huh?
They give us a formula to work on, and they work it into the formula.
Got it.
Mhm. Anything else for Philip on TCUB? Cool.
Thank you. I will say that the capital outlay
Oh,
includes one new vehicle,
Yep.
and then we'll be coming back when we do the police vehicles with another vehicle, but that won't impact to the
Right.
next budget.
So this is cash funding one.
And that's replacement vehicles because
Yep.
we've got one that's 15 years old and one that's 10 years old. So.
What vehicle are we talking about?
One's a utility vehicle, it's a 2007 Chevrolet 1500 that used to have a regular bed on it. They put a utility bed on it years ago when T-Good got started. And then the other one is the Prius.
Yeah. We had a Prius in that department. We were having to do the visual read. So they would have to ride around with an antenna, and it would collect the reads as they rode around. So we got the most fuel-efficient vehicle we could use for that. Now those reads come in hourly into City Hall, right? So we don't have to use it for that, and it's just really kind of a useless vehicle for that department at this point.
It's kind of low to the ground.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
It
you
has
and
a
the
lot of
Prius,
miles
Phil,
on it too, so I'm just saying.
It does have a good bit of mileage. I think it's, what, a 2012?
It is.
Yeah.
so we're looking to replace it with another Prius?
No.
Don't want the Volt.
Yeah, we can get the Volt.
Tesla.
Yeah, we get a
Let's do a
Tesla.
smart car.
T-Cut Tesla.
Tesla, yeah.
I'm
joking.
The 2016 SUV the police has?
I mean,
We always get the hand-me-downs.
I can tell.
I do love to watch the Prius bouncing up and down Stonecrest Boulevard when I'm behind it.
yes, it does. It's like a little roller skate rolling through there.
That was a gentle pitch to repave Stonecrest Boulevard.
Yeah.
You catch that?
We'll wait for Main Street to tear it up and let them repave it.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
That's how you do that, guys. Let those developers do it.
Any other questions on T-Cut? Good deal. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Stormwater, again, projecting $619,000 in revenues there. And what we try to do every year there is revenues in, revenues out, all right? You've got on your salaries and wages, you've got 80% of our stormwater managers' salary in there, plus 30% of our public works salaries are in there for what they do, along with the applicable. Your overtime's minor. We really don't have a whole lot of stormwater overtime emergencies, knock on wood. Everything else, your professional services, that's really when we've got a project where we've got to engage the engineers. We've got an old piece of corrugated steel pipe that has no bottom, has no top. Can we replace it with a smaller diameter, smooth wall pipe? Does that velocity coefficient work or not? So using engineering services there. The drainage maintenance and material number, typically that's just a balancing number. So once we've got all of our other expenditures plugged in, that number gets plugged in just as to balance it out and make it whole. And we use that, some for contract work, some for, pipe, rock, matting, things like that we have to use on stormwater projects. And that's what you see going into that item. Your fuel, again, pretty decent uptick there. Most of what that is our off-road diesel for backhoes, front-end loaders, things of that nature, is primarily what you see getting charged there. And then you've got the vehicle equipment lease. And Bob, pull that one out for us, please. I think that's dump truck and something else, right? Or is it a portion of the front-end loader and leaf vac?
Combination. It's for the front end loader and the leaf.
Yeah, so we put a portion of that lease into Public Works and the remaining into stormwater. But it's not for, we don't have 3 leaf trucks and 3 front-end loaders.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same ones that we talked about during general
Just
fund.
spreading it over different departments.
That's correct. That is correct. What questions do y'all have on stormwater, if any? Not looking to increase the rate, still at the 108 per ERU, so every resident gets that one time on their tax bill, and then the commercial is charged for every 3,500 square feet of impervious surface they have.
So as a professional services, that engineering,
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And that's not one we get into a whole lot, but when we do, it adds up quickly. We've got some very talented guys that are able to figure things out where we don't always have to go to engineering, but every now and again, we have to.
Bob, that 4551, is that single homes or is that counting?
That's the residential homes, 4551 plus commercial.
Okay,
That's your single family and your townhomes. It's not your apartments.
got it.
The apartments are in that commercial field.
Okay. Yep.
Sit on stormwater? All right. Moving right along, events. So this year, events tourism budget, projected revenues at $196,500. That transfer from hospitality tax, that's a balancing number. So once we figure out the expenses, we've calculated in what our vendor fees are going to be, our fall festival revenues, our event sponsorships, that kind of thing. What do we need out of HTAX to make this work? So that's where you come up with $173,000 to balance that. Again, in your salaries, you've got 100% of our event manager salary in there, and then you've got the overtime for our public safety and our maintenance folks that work those events, their time spent there. And it's a journal entry that Bob makes. It's originally in your general fund, and then it moves over into here. So you can see that, small upticks on your holiday lighting, fall festival, increasing that. We've rebranded that, if you've seen, as Catawba Fest. Looking forward to, this year this October will still be one day, but it's going to be longer. Envisioning that in subsequent years, we turn that into a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday type event.
One of the tough things with budgeting for Fall Festival is because of the timing of it, of October 1st. We'll actually get some bills for 2023 in this current budget year with deposits and stuff like that. So it's kind of we'll pay for part of it this year and part of it next year. So that's
and then you get all your revenues in for the most part this year, even though you've got some expenses, a good bit of your expenses hit the following fiscal year. We added in a movie night for the fall, anticipating, trying it once, see how that goes, and then look to potentially expand from there. Where, when, haven't worked that out yet, to my knowledge, but did get it priced out on being able to do that. That $3,000 covers the movie, the setup, the copyrights, all that good stuff. So it's all legit above board. Your service Saturdays, just a nominal amount there. Still struggling to get that program up and running. Lots of volunteers, which is great, ready to help out. Just not getting the applications for, I need the help, or my neighbor needs the help. So, but we'll still keep trying to plug that and keep trying to move along as we can there. Keeping our 4th of July expense, since we could afford it. We did an uptick this current year to $40,000, keeping it there. The fireworks, I'm just going to go ahead and forewarn you, may get a little weird for next year. We've been very fortunate that the crew, the guy that leads the crew that have been doing ours is considered a small show. And the guy that's been leading it was supposed to have retired this year. They talked him into coming back one more year. Don't know if he'll do it again, and if he doesn't, we're either going to have to find a new location for the fireworks or try to find a different company that can do the size shells that we're limited to, with it being close proximity to the buildings and things like that. So unfortunately, this is the highest elevation in the city that's not under transmission lines. Believe me, Joey and I have spent hours checking. This is the highest elevation that doesn't have transmission lines. If we didn't have transmission lines on Shoreline by that water tower, a great spot to shoot from, but just don't have that luxury. Doing them from like the river access, down below the dam, you're almost 200 feet lower than what we are up here. Now, we could increase the mortar shell sizes and get them up to about the same height, but now you've completely reduced people being able to view as easily, with the amount of space that you can accommodate folks up here. So that's going to be something that we're already starting to work through for next July 4th. I know Katie and Joey and the team have already, I think started July 6th, having conversations about next July 4th. But we'll come up with a good solution, I'm quite certain. A small uptick on the concert expense there. With getting the band shell installed, it won't be installed until November because we couldn't get it installed in time for the Fall Festival. So we're just going to wait till that's done, then get that installed. Gives us more money to play with on our bands and things like that. So we should be in good shape there. And again, your holiday festival, that's a nominal cost. So that's your events and tourism budget. Any questions for Dustin or Joey there?
Tell me about how we're double on the Fall Festival.
So you got a few things. One, for this fall festival, we're going to have another band as part of it. You're still going to have the stage rental since the band shell won't be ready for this year. And the way that the budget falls, we will incur costs for this fall festival that's getting ready to come up, but we'll also incur costs for the future, for the following fall festival, where we do anticipate on making a multi-day event. So those costs will go up. So it's a combination of some increases this year and more increases next year, capturing all those into that single number.
Are we on a separate date than Baxter this year? I know they
You'll
tend
have to ask Mr. Mike
great-
Martosha.
I know
for the
Mr.
record.
Martosha tends to want to do his right on top of ours. That's why I'm asking.
I will say I don't know about this year, but I can tell you with the Catawba Fest for 2023, we are looking to move that date to mid-October next year, just to have more daylight outside, better chance of weather. So if we do conflict, this will more than likely be the last time, unless he's just going out of his way to conflict with us. So
I'm not sure he's not, but,
I'm not either. And I don't mind saying so.
well,
Every time we've moved it, he's moved theirs to the exact same date.
22 years ago, he's responsible for me not being allowed to smoke cigars on the softball field. So I've held a grudge against him ever since then. It was the Martosha rule. You were Parks and Rec director.
I very clearly remember the conversations. Yes, sir.
The rule's no tobacco, sir.
It wasn't back then.
Any other questions on the events
Don't read
tourism
those
budget?
signs.
True story.
On the revenue versus the expense.
I think you're going to see a turn in that with the 24 fiscal year, because we're going to increase those vendor fees because it's going to be across more. Yes. What we've always tried to do with those vendor fees is keep them nominal to attract those vendors, because they're really not selling very expensive things. They're arts and crafts kind of stuff. You go out and you charge them $100 like you do a food truck, they're not showing up. Yeah, but we're going to be able to increase the number of vendors that we're bringing in. We're going to be able to do a modification on those fees in 2024. You'll start seeing that get a lot better.
to give you an idea, we maxed out at about 70 something last year, just because that's what we could accommodate at the Glennon Center. Within 2 weeks of registration, we're already over close to 90 signed up for it. So, like Charlie said, we looked at Summerfest in York. We looked at the Strawberry Festival. What seems like a good price for what we're offering, because the fee schedule that you're getting proposed for this year will take in effect for next year because of where Fall Festival sets again.
But while we're in this kind of mode,
Sure.
what we're doing for our food trucks for the concert series, we're charging residents the same exact fee that we're charging out of town folks.
Okay.
You mean for space for the festival?
For the space for the concert series, we charge the same
So
thing.
for the food trucks.
For the food trucks, in-town people as out-of-town people. And the in-town folks have their business licenses. So
Okay.
I'd like to see what we could do about maybe incentivizing our folks in TEK to want to come in and be with us for our concert series.
Are there more residents with food trucks than the one we have? Mm-hmm. There are? Okay.
They just can't make the money because, you know, it's $100 for them to come in, whereas Clover's charging $15 or Rock Hill's charging $25. So, you know, it's just something that I'd like for us to look at if we could. to see if we could help our residents out a little bit. I understand people coming in out of town, they don't have a business license, that helps to cover the business license,
Does.
that kind of thing, but if we got some
Okay.
folks that are,
We could take a look at that on the fee schedule. I'd be glad to.
Jennifer, I just had to
Yep.
get that one in
No,
tonight.
no, that's. Understand.
It's on record.
It's on the record. Got it. Understand. But no, good thought. Very, very good thought. Not something that's ever come up in conversation before, so more than happy to take a look at it. Yes, sir. Anything else on events tourism? All right, last but certainly not least, H-Tax. Projecting $385,000 in H-Tax revenues for the coming year. And again, balancing that out at $385,000, or excuse me, your expenses at $369,117, leaving you a positive net balance of $15,883 in H-Tax. So with that, there's your first line item there, the $173,000, that's the transfer you saw in the previous budget to help pay for our events. Marketing, that $10,000, a lot of that is, some of that is our website hosting, some of that is the street banners that we put up, is what you've got falling in there. Your maintenance and repairs to Clubhouse, out of that $100,000, we've got some rotten wood on the exterior, fascia boards, trim boards, things like that, getting those replaced. For some reason, when the facility was built by the developer, they used indoor trim and painted it instead of exterior trim. So we've, as it has gone rotten, and Tim's done a good job of getting those replaced. Also covers the HVAC maintenance and repair on this entire campus. And we are currently getting pricing to replace the roll-down blinds up at the pavilion, which would be funded through there. And the rest of that, I mean, really is just things that break in the Shore Club, equipment-wise and things like that, that may be our responsibility to take care of. So that's, that's what we've got. Your Grundy Park lights, again, that's that capital lease that y'all saw previously, which we've got a few more years left on that replacement. The Visit York County, if y'all aren't familiar with them, they're the tourism arm of York County. This represents 3% that we pay to them. They market both the golf course as well as our events and things like that. They're going to be a huge, huge asset for us with Catawba Park. They've got a lot of the 7v7 passing leagues, summer passing leagues and tournaments that they want to bring in to Catawba Park on those multi-purpose fields, which will be, we didn't include any of that in what we were thinking in that tournament revenue stuff on the general fund side. So that's what that Visit York County the ticket is there. And then the $50,000 transfer to Catawba Park, that goes towards some of that Catawba Park debt payment. And that is your hospitality tax budget. Any questions there? Go ahead.
The reduction of the marketing budget?
Yeah, so this year we did a full overhaul on the website, and that was a one-time expense.
Okay.
So when we did a redesign, we captured that in last fiscal year. Going forward, it's just our maintenance.
Thank you.
Probably do that about once, they recommend every five, I think we've got it on contract now to be able to do it every 5 years, just to give the site a good refresh.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else on hospitality tax? Anything else in general? So, to wrap things up, and then I'll pass it back over to you, Mr. Mayor. Next steps with this. So tomorrow, as it says, that there were no adjustments requests made tonight. These numbers will actually, Casey will push this out to the Herald for our required legal notice on the budget. There is no millage increase projected in this at all. There's certain things that we're required to put in the paper to notice the public hearing. Public hearing would be scheduled for August 15th at that council meeting. Now, in years past, we've done public hearing, and then when we get to new business, we've done first read. The last 2 years, at the request of a former council member, we did public hearing in August, waited until the September regular meeting and did first read, and then we had to call a special meeting the very next week to do the second read, because you got to have it adopted by October 1st, obviously. Do y'all have a preference? I would prefer you do it all in August, and that way you don't have to have a second meeting, but, okay. Okay, then that's how we'll set it up to proceed forward. Yes, sir.
Move back.
Mhm.
I just wanted to clear, when the chief was talking about his long-term plan.
Mhm.
Since we're short officers, that's not something, your request, you want to wait on that if we do something, right? We talked about the meter maid, for lack of a better term, and then never mind that, full-time officer, but that's not something you could do right now even if we wanted to, because we're down 3 officers, so.
Beginning of last week, we rolled it out.
Microphone.
Sorry. I know. I'll be paying this pretty soon. Last week, we rolled out one. And we had retirement.
Okay.
And then we had someone leave to go to Lancaster County. Could I envision that we could be in a place to where, beginning of 2023, we could start moving something with this? As long as we're moving the way that we're moving now, yes, sir, I could be in place to where we could start implementing something like this.
I guess I wanted to just ask my fellow council members, is that something do we want to include that in the budget if that's the direction we want the PD to go? Or do we want to wait until the spring and look at the gate and look at everything else?
Chief,
then?
correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that's a budget adjustment. It's just getting back up to full staff and having
Well, I thought we were talking about adding one more for the,
And fully trained staff.
parking and the traffic and all
Right,
that.
right, it would have to, for me to get back fully trained, and then if you wanted to add one, then I would add one and put it on the
Into
the
that
team, right?
Team, okay.
Is that something you anticipate being able to do in the next fiscal year, or would that be the next budget?
I could definitely do it the next fiscal year, for sure. If everything goes as planned, I could do it in the beginning of the first part of the year, but definitely for next year, I'm prepared to
Not
do it.
asking for a promise, just because I know you've got staffing challenges that are the priority problem.
We're going to work through that.
Yeah.
Chief, just to make sure we're all talking the same things, if your 3 open positions are filled, and they're through, let's assume Academy and FTO, right? Whatever version of that it is, right? You're fully staffed, everybody's out riding by themselves.
Correct.
By spring of 2023. You feel like you could handle, maybe not to an extreme level, to a top level, but an increase as far as how it's being covered versus now.
Yes, we would be able to have some officers work that assignment. They would not be dedicated at all times. You wouldn't be getting a dedication because they'd be working the road and other things. If you want full dedication, then it would take adding that body.
I guess I was just asking, would it, I'm looking at gate, police officer kind of discussion. So
Understand.
I guess what I'm asking is, do we want to make that decision now? Do we want to wait till the spring? Because we're doing the budget now. Do we want to make a decision now?
I don't know, I think we're kind of, my impression is we're kind of tabling the gate discussion due to the expense, and Chief's got some work to do, but, this is not a decision we have to make
Okay.
right now. We can table it till spring.
And then.
Let's see where Chief's at that point, and I don't know, maybe Joey finds a $30,000 gate between now and then. Who knows?
Cool.
To that point too, we're not currently allocating any part-time seasonal
Right.
staff in that as well.
So maybe
And-
we swing back in February, March
Cool.
on that conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure where we left it. I couldn't.
Yep.
Mayor and council, thank you for your time. Thank you for your great questions. I have nothing further on this, so Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, council comments. Start with Mr. Machunas.
I'll just sound like the broken record and thank our first responders for all their hard work. More importantly, thank staff for all the hard work they put into the budget. It's a good budget. This is year 5 for me. It looks better and better every year since I've been on council. And, part of it's impact fees and growth and managed smart growth like everybody talks about, and part of it's the hard work of staff. Y'all keep the expenses down. I mean, our budget goes up a little bit every year, but not a lot. So thank you, everybody, for all your hard work.
Mr. Shirley?
This is going to surprise you, but I have nothing to add. Thank you. Appreciate all the hard work.
Pardon me while I fall on the floor. Mr. Heisler?
I just want to reiterate, thanks staff, the entire staff, Bob, you too especially. I know you put up with a lot of my questions over the last couple months, so I appreciate that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thought you were Alicia yesterday.
Folks, I'd like to say thank you for everything you guys do for us. Keep it short and sweet. I really appreciate all the effort and especially our guys that are on call, just making it happen for us. Thank you for all the hard work that you put into this. Budget looks great. And, you know, TKK just continues to be even better because of you folks, and our hats are off to you. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.